Hey everyone, it's Mike at Cavill. Welcome back to obviously our working family. I just want to ask you guys if you've ever heard of the dark kitchen, kind of like the dark web, but a dark kitchen. Because today, well, we're going to be talking around some recent articles that have been coming out about a really big, monumental thing that might break out here around the dark kitchen. So right now, what I want to do is obviously I want to go through that kind of experience with you guys. Have you ever had that when you've been either eating out, you've had a takeaway, maybe even you've made your own food, but just think back to that experience when you've had something bad, when the food goes bad, when you have a bad stomach and a bad experience following your recent meal. Guys, I'm just trying to think back for me, and the next day is just not worth. It's not worth the pain that you've gone through for that food. When you're having food poisoning the next day, it's no fun. So, I mean, for me, when it's happened to us or anyone in our family, the first thing you do is when you realize that's happened, you try and pinpoint what have I had to eat, where have I been, what have I done, and obviously when you come to the conclusion that potentially it's the place you've visited, when you come to the conclusion that potentially it's the takeaway you've ordered in, or you've gone out to eat, you just don't go back. You vote with your feet and you just don't go back when you've had a bad experience. I mean, let's be honest. How often would you go back? How often would you reorder a takeaway from somewhere after such a bad experience like that? And I think for me, it just highlights really why it's so important for businesses to try and make sure you're getting your core values right here. Because at the end of the day, your business as a restaurant probably doesn't stand for making people sick. That's probably not your core value and what you're trying to aspire to achieve in your business. So you're probably definitely looking for what you can do and how you can help to foster the growth of your business and create an environment and that kind of that ethos, that kind of theatre where people want to come and not just experience the food, but the celebration of going out. Or if people are getting a takeaway, they're looking for something quick and easy. They're not looking for, sickness, a bug. They're looking for something that fits and fixes their short-term need right there and then. And we all know that currently, right now, within the industry, obviously, takeaways are on the rise. They're on the increase. There's no disputing it. When you look at Just Eat, did somebody say Just Eat? I won't sing it, but obviously you've got those guys. You've got Deliveroo. Everybody's joining on the bandwagon. Uber Eats. It's a huge business where people are looking for convenience nowadays. Yes, people are still looking for the experience of eating out, but we're also looking for convenience. We're looking to have our lives easy. And if there's a chance that tonight I can make my life easy by getting a takeaway and that fits what we want to do, then fine, that's what we'll do. And just like every other household and family. So businesses are starting to drive onto that bandwagon. They can see that as well as having their front of house restaurant where they are, where they're based, their location, they can also at the same time simultaneously meet that need of the delivery and start actually facilitating that for people and actually gaining on both sides of that. And to be honest with you, why wouldn't you? That just makes pure business sense to do that, because at the end of the day, you're spreading your market, you're making yourself competitive, and you're trying to obviously spread what you're doing and increase your business. It makes common sense to do that, right? Of course it does. So obviously you don't want to be seen to be standing for bad practices or bad hygiene. And to be honest with you, if you're a business that doesn't that just say that your business is broken? I mean, when fundamentally your model is based on delivering high quality food and enjoyment to people, whether that be in their own home or in your restaurant, if you're providing bad quality food and bad hygiene, you're fundamentally at the very core of your business broken to such an extent that actually you're not providing what you're actually there to do. It's to do the opposite. You're making people thinner, man, by doing this. This is not what you want to be doing. So, what is the dark kitchen? You've heard the dark web and so on and so forth. So what is a dark kitchen? Well, in short, a dark kitchen is an entity where a restaurant can actually start using either a kitchen at home, a kitchen anywhere really, to make and prepare your food. It could be completely and utterly unregistered. It doesn't have to have a health rating because you've got your front of house that's rated. And at the end of the day, they can prepare this food for your takeaway without impacting on the restaurant in its own way and send that food out to you. You don't know what the background of where it's come from is. You don't know how clean it is. You don't know whether it's been checked by the FSA, Food Safety, Food Standards Agency. So you don't know if any of these things have been taking place. And it can be literally anywhere to help to get the food out the door to you and meet that high level demand, because the last thing people want to do is turn away money and turn away business. But the problem is those dark kitchens are providing more than just food. It's providing stomach aches and illnesses across the country, and it's going to become an epidemic within the trade if we're not careful, if it hasn't done already. So guys, I want to have a quick look at an article with you right now. We're going to go through a bit more information on this and start to look into a bit more detail. And I think one of the things for me personally that I found really, really surprising on here is the sheer fact that you look on here and some of the names that are mentioned, they're not like your local, greasy spoon round the corner. These are things like McDonald's, a big, well-known company. Come on. There's also participating in dark kitchens to help to meet demand. Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat have driven this, and you get places like KFC, McDonald's, all these big players are recognizing the value of having a presence here. And as soon as they come on, the demand is so high that they can't facilitate it in the restaurant they've got. And you get these development of dark kitchens, which is sending that food out. I don't know about you, but who would have known that when you order your McDonald's, it may not actually come from a McDonald's? I mean, how insane is that? I mean, that's not what you're ordering your food for. What could it come with? What more are you ordering rather than just a Big Mac? What are the nasty surprises you're getting coming past your doorstep when you order that kind of food? And I think the other thing on here that really surprised me was that, there's 2.4 million people that fall ill from eating tainted food every year. And they're actually saying that 380,000 of those, 380,000 foodborne illnesses, that's nearly 2/3, are linked to takeaways. And that's just astonishing. And that's a figure that I would hazard a guess is increasing, is on the rise. It's just insane. And one of the things we realize on here as we scroll through, that obviously, with these cases, obviously it's causing so much illness. But the problem is you think to yourself, well, okay, but these places are rated, aren't they, by Food Standards Agency? They're going out and they're doing the checks on the food hygiene, on the hygiene of the premises. So surely they'll be capturing this out, right? And in fact, what you actually find here, and I think this is hilarious, by the way, because when you look at this and you think, okay, so the FSA's head of regulatory compliance, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is the Federation Food Standards Agency's regulatory compliance head, and that's just amazing. That's astounding. But obviously, one of the things they talk about is obviously the rating. So obviously, you get a 5-star rating, 0 being absolutely appalling, you should be shut, to 5 being you're astounding, it's a wonderfully clean environment, and no problems whatsoever with the food safety. So obviously, when people go into these premises, you can look it up, you can look up online what the ratings are. But the downfall with this, when it comes to the dark kitchens, are that if I had a restaurant that was set up right now that was selling food to people to come in and eat, and then I couldn't deal with the demand in the restaurant and the demand of obviously doing a delivery service. So I've got my wife doing the cooking in my kitchen at home, which hasn't been assessed whatsoever, to meet the demand of the takeaways. So the takeaways are actually being taken from my kitchen at home, not the restaurant, to your front door. When I come to be assessed, it's not my kitchen that's going to be assessed, although it should be, absolutely. It's the restaurant that tends to be the area that's assessed. So whilst, the FSA here are saying, one of the biggest things you should keep doing is checking the 5 stars, check the hygiene rating. How are these people rated? We don't suggest you eat for anywhere that's, a lower 3-star. My God, at the end of the day, that's based on the restaurant that you're obviously think you're ordering from. If you're ordering from a dark kitchen and you don't know it, Guys, that place hasn't been assessed. That's the whole point of the dark kitchens. That's why you're getting these diseases that are coming out. It's why people get so many illnesses. It's because in actual fact, these places haven't had a hygiene test. You don't know where your food is coming from. You don't know what other nasties are coming through that door, your delivery. So when they're recommending, obviously, to go online, check the food hygiene rating for the restaurant you're ordering from, that's all fair and well if you're going in to eat at the actual restaurant. We're not talking about that. We're talking about takeaways here. This is kind of a moot point, really. They need to be able to find a way to really knuckle down on these particular areas. And I would say it's kind of working with these agencies like JustEat.com, like Uber Eats, like Deliveroo, and these other places to make sure that when they do their own ratings and they do their own reviews, that they're also very scrupulous about the people that are coming on there. But that's just not happening. So these places are definitely falling through the net. Like I said, for me, I think this is something that's going to become much more widespread. I don't think we've hit the peak of this yet before it starts to become a bit more of an issue. We're seeing more and more of it coming out in the press, but I think it's not reached that point yet of reaching that peak. And I think, obviously, for me, as well as obviously looking at the illnesses that you're getting, as well as looking at what type of companies are performing these kind of practices, as well as looking at the fact that they've probably not got a hygiene rating for these places. Of course they don't. It's the fact that councils are also saying that they're limited. They're limited to their ability to go over and make sure that the standards are of the right levels throughout all of their community. They're so run down in that area, and I guess you could put that down to funding and what have you. But at the end of the day, they're not facilitating enough to go out and double check the standards of all of these restaurants and the takeaway chains to make sure that these dark kitchens aren't taking place. It's like a perfect recipe for a disaster of stomach aches for a large amount of the population. And it's absolutely astounding. And I think to myself, coming from the people perspective here and looking at what the impact is on your business, if you've got, say, a couple of people that are working at home in your kitchen, working in a basement somewhere, God knows where, what's the working standards in these places? What's the health and safety for people that are working there? Are they insured at that property? As well as the food, there's just so much more that happens from this that I think not enough of us are actually giving consideration to. And you've got to remember, we are what we eat, right? But you are what you preach. And I think in this sense of things, if you're a business that's saying, hey, do you know what? It's okay to go and cook food from a container on the side of a building somewhere that we've stuck a kitchen into that isn't part of the restaurant, then what standards are you setting for the people that are working in your business and working in your restaurant? It's literally, it's driving the quality and standards of an industry that relies on quality and standards down. It's just making it to an all-time level low. And I think, looking at these food hygiene ratings is not enough. And I think looking at the practices, the staff and the owners in these businesses is absolutely fundamental. And also knocked onto that, the agencies that are helping to provide these services, who we go through, who I myself also go through. And the risk that we all take, you think genuinely you are ordering from that venue. And the fact of the matter is potentially you're not. And this goes without saying that actually the vast majority of businesses here probably are operating in the right way, to the right standards, and are assessed. And you're getting your food from the place you think you're getting it from. But it's the small number are enough to make the fact that obviously we've got 380,000 foodborne illnesses that are related to takeaways every year. So those small numbers are sufficient in volume to be able to do this. So thinking about business values, thinking about business visions, when you think about a restaurant chain, at the very core of that, it's got to be about giving high quality food, giving enjoyment. You want to give an experience to people, whether that be at home through a takeaway or whether that be in your restaurant. And I just think that if everybody looked at this in their own business, if they're going through this process and saying, quite rightly, like I said, to maximize our business potential, we need to look at both sides of this coin, both eating out and the takeaway to eat in for obviously meeting people's immediate needs right now. And then that's right to do. But if someone's coming in to eat at your restaurant, should their experience be any less than if they ordered the food in? Should it? Or should it be exactly the same in terms of the quality of your food and the experience you want to give to people from eating your food and the qualities? I just think it's so counterproductive to everything that the whole industry around hospitality stands for, whether you're a restaurant, a cafe, a hotel, that, at the end of the day, this is so counterproductive to that realistically, you're just so much in the wrong business if you're going down this particular route. And obviously you're looking here, at the fact that, you're causing illnesses. That's not what this is meant to be. And obviously keeping that in tune, your values, they've got to sink through the whole thing. I'm repeating myself, but it's so important that, a business like this would be broken. It'd be great to hear other people's thoughts, other people's experiences. If you actually ordered from a takeaway and you've actually got, an illness from that takeaway, have you pinpointed it down that it's possibly that you've had that's caused it? So I think there's just so many things that are wrong with this at the moment in time that need to be corrected and put right as an industry for all of the consumers out there. And I think if I were a restaurant that were actually following these and actually, doing the potential takeaways through these particular routes, I would be really, really cautious about obviously the perspective on my business when these things go wrong. And obviously, putting the right meal in the order, that's on you, not these businesses. But the resolution you get through those businesses, because it goes through a third party, they're pretty poor, to be honest with you. And Uber Eats for me, up to you guys. I'm not saying anything against any of them, but as an individual, but that has been one of the biggest ones that's got this wrong for me. But all three of those big names I mentioned there are guilty of it, not just the one. So I think there's a lot here to be improved upon, and I think the viewpoint it gives to the consumer of your business can be pretty poor if you don't get it right. And let's face it, like I said at the very beginning, if you have a bad experience once, the likelihood of you going back a second time or a third time or a fourth time is pretty low. In fact, in actual fact, it's been proven that people need to go back to your restaurant 4 times potentially to be considered, kind of a regular after that point in time, to make your restaurant one of the top 5 restaurants that they would want to visit as part of their family. So if you get this wrong on a takeaway, they won't even get to the door of your restaurant to experience what your restaurant actually is, to actually, enjoy what you do. They'll vote with their feet and won't even come in the first instance. So, let me know what your thoughts are on this. Let me know what experiences you've had. And guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Remember to outstaff the competition. Take care.